Not work.
Chairman, we're live on
We're
TV.
looking for a civil.
Okay, very
civil
good.
engineering summer.
Good. Hang on just a minute. Perfect. Didn't know that. It's just 1 second. Okay, we're all here, so we will go ahead and get started. Call to order the regular monthly meeting of the City of Helotes Planning and Zoning Commission. It is April the 4th. It is 7 p.m. Ask the commission secretary to call the roll, please.
Greg Michelle,
Here.
Jason White,
Here.
Ron Haza, Ann Caraway,
Here.
Mario Rios,
Here.
Jeff Wade, here, David Cato,
Here.
Alex Blue.
Here. And we have Michael Gallardo, Selena Perez from staff, Jen Sones from council, and Nicole is from staff as well, so thank you. We do not, Michael, have any citizens to be heard, is that correct? No. Okay, very good. So our first action item is on the minutes of the regular meeting from the March 7, 2023 meeting. If there are any corrections or edits or revisions?
Yes, I have some corrections on number 5.
Well, just 1 second. Okay,
Okay, this was the lengthy discussion we had on that site plan.
yes.
And I think where we have motion to approve this item, I think that's backwards. The 4 nays would have been the last 4 people, and the 4 ayes were Blue, Caraway. You see that on the first one?
In the middle of the first page, the first motion to approve the item, the 4-4 vote, that one.
Yes,
And the nays were listed as Blue, Caraway,
just-
Cato.
should be the other way around. And then the second time, the motion was to recommend denial. And then that is correct, except Commissioner Haza is listed as voting both aye and nay.
Okay, so to make sure we're all on the same page on this, on the initial motion to approve, the names are all listed correctly, but the ayes and the nays are just reversed, so we'll fix that. And then in the second motion, which was the motion to recommend denial, the 5 ayes are listed correctly. And in fact, the ayes approving the motion to deny. is how you
Yes.
read it. And Ron, you voted in the.
To deny it.
You voted the
For-
aye.
Yeah, I voted for the
motion. So so the final vote on that particular motion was 5-2.
Yes.
And we would remove Haza from the
Right.
nays.
So Selena, I'm going to pen it in. if That's all right with you? And thank you for that. Are there any other revisions to the minutes? Okay, so at this point, then we can have a motion regarding the minutes.
So I would like I will move to approve the minutes as amended
For March 7th.
for March 7th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the minutes as amended here. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, we can move to item 5 this evening, which is discussion and action on a request by Tony Durand for approval of a creative sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98 zoning, Section 72, Old Town Special District, subparagraph G7, creative sign review, authorizing the use of a roof-mounted sign for Abby and Ashley, a women's clothing boutique at 14433 Old Bandera Road. Start by asking, is the applicant here this evening? If we have questions, so sit tight for the moment. Michael, anything that staff would care to add beyond what was provided to us?
No, just was provided.
Very good. So at this point, I would open this up for discussion for the commission, comments or questions for staff or the applicant who is here this evening on this item. And maybe Michael, if you'd advance it perhaps to get us to that item. Oh, you're in it. I'm sorry. Thank you. So the floor is open.
I would actually like to speak with the applicant, ask you a question
Sure.
on the sign.
And before she asks, when you would come on up, just before you, as you get started, just put your name and business address on the record for us.
This business is going to be Abby and Ashley, and my name's Tony Duran. The address is 14433 Old Bandera Road.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, I just was wondering, do you have anything there that will identify what type of business it is? It just says Abby and Ashley. Is there boutique? It's a clothing
No.
boutique. There's nothing?
Nothing extra.
Okay, so there's no plans to identify it any other way?
No.
Sure.
So Commissioner Caraway, in that patio area, what they typically do is they will bring out some clothing items. So you would be able to identify that it's a clothing boutique.
Oh, okay, very good.
I would add for the record for the commission, the previous business at this location, whose name was I think
Gigi.
Yeah, had a similar sign, not exactly the same, but similar and same location. So this is certainly need the approvals, but just to make sure everybody's aware that this was in this location. Does the sign, Michael, as the type of sign it is, if this was a different type of sign, we would expect a address? But that's not as a creative sign, it's not a requirement.
No.
Does the property or the building need to have an address somewhere on it?
It does have it.
It does.
I can zoom in on it right now.
Right above.
There's one right above the mailbox.
There.
See it. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have just a comment. I understand that here they have to kind of go about this differently because of the location of the sign. But here again, as in the past, I just have a very, very hard time seeing this as a creative sign in regards to what is defined in the ordinance as a creative sign. Right?
I have to agree. Is maybe any plans to add any kind of border to it, maybe?
We can. I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. But we can, but there was no plans for that.
I do like the lettering.
Thank you.
It's aesthetically pleasing and I think it matches with Old Town Helotes. It's a little bit,
Sure. The plan is just really to put the name out there, and people would be coming for what's inside and for the artist that's in there. It's not I didn't want to do a lot of splash on the sign. I didn't feel that it needed it.
I'd point out, if you all saw the Jeff referenced the ordinance and what the code is, one of the elements of it is under the contextual criteria indicating one of the criteria one can meet is strong graphic character. Through, I'm going to get the language wrong. Thank you for showing it. Where is it?
on 1-3. Provide strong graphic character.
Yeah, through the imaginative use of graphics, color, texture, quality, material, scale, and proportion. Not suggesting that it hits every one of those, but certainly the coloring scheme, the cursive, to my reading of it, checks that box. But of course, that's my particular reading of it.
I believe it is simple but elegant. Simple but elegant.
Simple but elegant. These are the type of things often that are, in the eye of the beholder.
See no issue with it.
The color is beautiful.
So, Mr. Chairman, I do agree with you checking that one box on number one, but then if you go down to number two, the contextual criteria, at least one of the following elements: classic historical design, creative, imagine reflecting current or historic character of Old Town Helotes, or inventive representation of the use, name or logo. I don't think this sign checks any of those boxes.
What did the sign look like before that? What was Gigi's sign like? Was it about the same size? Do we have that?
Yes, identical size.
Same, in fact, I think it was actually,
Did you do that?
No, it's
sign
not the same,
as
no.
well?
I did not do that sign.
I do think that one could read that contextual piece, particularly the last point as checking that box in terms of inventive representation of the use, name, logo, structure.
Our logo does contain the website address on there, which I didn't put on the sign. And that's the difference from our logo.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for staff, if I may.
All right.
Just the question is, when we're looking at the criteria and it was pointed out clearly that it does meet 1.3, is it just one of the bullets here that it needs to meet, or is it one from each category, or is it just open-ended?
It says it on the top there, says like, for example, if we look at number 2, contextual criteria, the sign should contain at least one of the following.
Okay, so from one from each subcategory. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Well, okay,
Or at least for that.
because number one says and. It
Okay.
says-
Correct. I read it that way too.
Yeah,
Number
it-
one, you should have all three elements. Number two, you should have one
At
of
least
those
one.
elements. And number three, you should have all of
Two.
those, or both of those elements.
Okay,
And
thank
then
you.
number four, Old Town Helotes plan consistency. The sign shall be consistent with the character and intent of Old Town Helotes.
Well, I think that being imaginative and creative is so subjective. Okay, so like, for instance, I would like it to identify what kind of shop it is, but that's totally the owner's prerogative, if they put the clothes on there, that's in itself creative to put the clothes on the porch and say. So I think that it meets, it's never going to meet every single list on here, but if it does enough to show that it's a pleasing sign and it's creative and classic, I think that's good. And I think that putting the clothes on the porch is creative. So, anything further?
I'd like to invite a motion at this time, and we can then discuss the motion.
Okay, I'm going to do a motion to approve recommendation of item 5, the request by Tony Durand for approval of the creative sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98 zoning, Section 98-72 Old Town Special District, subparagraph G7, creative sign review, authorizing the use of a roof-mounted sign for Abby and Ashley, a women's clothing boutique located at 14433 Old Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, 78023.
There is a second for the item.
I'll second it.
Discussion of the motion, start with Ann, if anything further.
Nothing further.
Alex.
No, sir.
Anyone else want to speak to the motion? So the motion is to recommend approval of the request by Tony Duran for the creative sign pursuant to code, chapter 98, section 72, Old Town zoning, Old Town Special District, subparagraph G7, creative sign review, authorizing the use of a roof-mounted sign for Abby and Ashley at Women's Clothing Boutique at 14433 Old Bandera Road. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
This motion is approved and it will go to city council. When are they going? Back in
Next Thursday, April
13th. So April 13th on that.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Don't go far because you're next, right? You're on again. So our next item is discussion and action on a request by Tony Duran for approval of a creative sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, Section 72, Old Town Special District, subparagraph G7, creative sign review, authorizing the use of an above awning sign for Serenity Manor, an event venue at 14405 Old Bandera Road. Staff have anything to add on this one?
No.
Well, good. Okay, so we can open the floor to comment and discussion. Maybe Michael, if you'd advance to the sign itself. And I open the floor to comment.
Is that a banner?
So Mr. Duran, come on back up.
Sorry.
Good to see you again.
It's just a rendering. It's not a actual banner up there.
Okay.
As with the previous one, I'd point out that as with the previous business, this business previously had a very similar sign and mounted in a similar place and might have been a little bit larger actually. But it was the same basic concepts for folks' reference. Questions, comments?
Mr. Chair?
Yep, Mario.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for being here this evening. Appreciate it. The sign that you're presenting here for this business, is it identical? Are you replacing the sign that was there to the prior business? Are you following that outline or are you creating your own?
It's going to be placed right where the other one was.
Okay, and
on top.
it's a sign that is visible during the day, but at night it's non-lights, correct?
It's not illuminated. It has just the exterior, the building lighting, that's it.
Is that the company logo, the business logo that you're
It is.
presenting? Okay,
It is.
very good, sir. And I do appreciate the phrase, like Commissioner Ram was saying earlier, that says the name of, or what type of business it is. That's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, sir, that spotlight that's on that roof there, point right at it, is not working or will not be?
It is not working at this time now.
Take it down? Get it
I
working, or-
have not inspected it myself, so I'm not sure if it's working. I don't have any plans right now to turn it on. Right now, we have plenty of lighting that would shine on that with the street light that's right above it, right to the left. And the porch lighting, there's plenty of street lighting.
Sure, I'd just like to say one more time that
Sure.
same as the one before, I don't agree that this sign agrees with the creative sign ordinance as it is stated.
Okay, thank you. Other comments or questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We can have a motion at this point.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
All right.
A request by Tony Duran for approval of a creative sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98 zoning, Section 9872, Old Town Special District. Creative sign review authorizing the use of an above awning sign for Serenity Manor at an event venue located at 14405 Old Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas 78023. Recommend motion to approve.
Recommend to approve. Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion of the motion, Mario?
The only thing I'd like to say is I completely agree with Commissioner Wade's stance on the creativity, but I also think the creativity is open to the person's view or perspective. But I also think here there's a number of criteria that need to be addressed. And so in my mind, the overall, I feel like it does have its creative way, but I think it meets the criteria in its own way, but I do think we need to be mindful of the criteria. So I definitely agree with each perspective. Thank you.
David, anything? Anyone else care to speak to the
I
motion?
actually have one thing. So it's going to be aluminum on wood. And sorry to call you up again. I just saw that was, does that aluminum tend to bend and come off? I mean, you're going to maintain it so that it looks nice? Because I think aluminum and wood, I mean, I don't know how it's going to be sealed on there tight enough with the rain and everything.
No, I will. Yeah, it's going to be framed. As far as the backing will be framed to the frame of the building. So there's not going to be any like play in it left, to where it's going to bend or
Or
anything like that.
bubbling or kind of
Exactly.
bending. Okay, because
It'll be flush.
that rendition looks really,
This was actually a render that we submitted for a temporary banner permit.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, I'm ready. I'm sorry.
Alex, Ron, anyone else?
Oh, sure.
The motion is to recommend approval of the request by Tony Duran for a creative sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98 zoning, Section 72, Old Town Special District, subparagraph G7, creative sign review, authorizing the use of an above awning sign for Serenity Manor, an event venue at 14405 Old Bend Air Road. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Thank you. Motion is approved. And so again, it was April 13th, we said that city council will make the final determination.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Next item tonight is discussion and action on a request by Ramiro Mena, KNRG Architecture, for approval of a conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for the North Side Independent School District Agricultural Science and Technology Academy at O'Connor High School, 12221 Leslie Road, including the site plan, the general building concept, and exterior lighting. Michael, anything that staff would care to add to the materials that the commission received?
Just other than it's an initiative by the Agriculture, Science and Technology Academy. It's going to take place at O'Connor High School. So it's basically, they're pushing forward to brand it as its own entity.
Okay. All right, and I'm guessing you all are here for that. So if we have questions, just whoever would be appropriate to come on up. So I open the floor to comment or questions for the applicant or for staff regarding this item.
Mr. Chair,
Yep,
may we have a representative come up to the
Sure.
microphone?
and as before, just name and business address would be great.
Good evening, Sean Carlson with KNRG Architects. We are located here in Helotes, 13438 Bandera Road.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mario.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, sir. Is this project part of the latest bond from Northside IC? That's what's being funded?
Yes, sir.
Could you share a little bit about that, sir, so I can get a better,
The bond program?
or how this is funded from that bond money? Is this like most recent or previous bond?
It's-
I'm gonna have to interject, Mario. That takes us too far afield from what the item is.
Okay,
So
I understand, but
let's
just a quick, I just wanted to make sure it's bond.
It's the latest bond. It's bond monies. It's
Yes.
gonna fund the.
So I take it it's on a timeline of.
That is
what-
correct.
Okay, very good. That was where I was just trying to get to. But is this area a new area, or are you knocking down? Go ahead.
So there's 5 structures that are gonna go up. 4 of them are gonna go in undisturbed areas or they're gonna be brand new buildings where the shop is, and I did not bring my pointer in. But it's that building right there. That actually, do you have a preference in which one I point to? So.
Doesn't matter.
See, it's not gonna show up there or there. Okay, but it's the shop building. We're gonna tear down the old shop, which is labeled as building Q by the city and by the district. And we're gonna put up a new shop building that's 15,000 plus minus square feet, which I think when I saw the listing just a second ago, you have it listed as 12,000. It's actually 15,000 square feet.
With multiple structures, correct?
Yes, sir. There's 4 structures, all yellow that you see up there. The highest one up there is going to be a new greenhouse right there. As you come down, the shop building would be the one on the, that one is on the left-hand side is a new shop. On the right-hand side in by the bus loop is going to be the new administration for the magnet school and the meat science or the food science portion. And then the one at the very bottom is a meat poultry barn. Those are all the barns over there in that area. So
Magnet school that already exists, correct? Or is this a new program? that's coming to
the
O'Connor?
program already exists. We're providing a home for them to go to.
Is this is the early part of the design, correct? Is there,
So we've taken this to the school board and has gotten it approved. We are in the schematic design phase. We're moving forward with construction documents. We know we have to come to you guys for several things, but we're starting the process obviously tonight.
part of this process, is it already also including fencing and security around that area? Or is that down the pipe?
We will eventually get to the fencing part. At this point, we're trying to figure out how that goes, but there will be a fencing element because we're required by TEA to do a certain level of security and the district as well.
I see, I only ask because of the multiple structures, and I know that I don't want to go above, but the time we're in now with the security and safety at schools and just making sure that it's in an environment that's monitored. I mean, I take it there's going to be back and forth communication with main campus and this structure that seems to be far away from the main building.
O'Connor is a bunch of separate buildings to
Yes.
begin with, and they're connected with canopies. We will have fencing. We've got to work that out. Again, we have a requirement by the district to make sure that we have a secure environment. And then there's new TA standards that also require us to have a certain level of security for the kids.
Thank you, sir, for answering my questions.
Other comments, questions? Jason?
Couple of reminders. So you're proposing a new parking lot, I guess, just planned south of the new building. Is that basically to serve the admin staff?
It's really there to serve visitors that may come to that campus and some select staff as well.
Okay. And you said the program is already existing, so there's not really a large increase in number of students that will be attending the school from this program.
There will be increased student count, but you know, I mean, it's, I don't know, you know, I'll introduce the people. So this is Leroy San Miguel. He's Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Operations for Northside ISD. He probably can answer that better.
What was the question again?
Will this new program with these new buildings increase the student population accessible?
Very little.
Okay.
As we start losing students, obviously this is a supplement to make sure that we get some students coming in. But because this particular facility is the magnet is capped, we can only go a certain amount because we can't sustain the infrastructure that supports the population. So it will continue to be in the same as we have now, except that we just added a slightly new program that will hopefully enhance the educational opportunities for our students.
Okay, fantastic. And last question. So I know the existing facilities are not terribly used by students. Like the student population is going to be traveling from the sort of main campus to these new buildings a little more, I think, than is currently happening with it. I think there's just one ag building, as I recall, in that area.
Building E is actually the, you know, it's part of the main campus. That's where right now the agriculture department's at.
Yeah.
There is a shop on the other side of the fire lane that kind of circles around, which is building Q, which is, so they already kind of go back and forth, and there's heavier traffic in the morning when the kids, especially when there's their animals and their projects are there. So there is traffic that goes across, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, just that there will be some crosswalk and sidewalk improvements that go along with this development.
Oh, yes, sir. Sorry, I may have misunderstood your question.
Jeff?
Great design. Everything looked good. One question about the bus loop. Are you interrupting the bus loop as it is right now?
We are going to modify the bus loop. Yes, we're going to shorten it and have it come around. You can see there's a green area. If you could, Michael, kind of highlight that. The upper, it's further up. Keep going up. So the bus loop, if you see that lime green piece, that's actually the current bus loop. We're going to come back around tighter to the
So the green is existing,
If the green is existing, we're gonna remove that
because
piece.
up there it says new paving is green on the left-hand side.
It's probably mislabeled then, because
That's gray. The paving's gray.
it's, I wish the pointer worked, where we could see it.
So I can see, yeah, where,
See.
I thought that where it goes around the building is where it's existing and you guys were.
No, sir,
gonna put
that's,
New green line, and I didn't know if the buses could make that turn.
they can make that turn.
Okay.
With the new bus loop, they can make that turn.
Second comment is, as I'm looking through the design, it looks great. You guys tried to mirror in the existing architecture of the schools and everything. So you get to the admin building and all the blue, which I thought, that's pretty cool. It kind of sets it apart from the main campus. Just wondering if you could do anything like that on any of the other newer buildings. Make them, you know,
Actually,
except the doors.
actually,
The
when
doors.
this building was built and I wasn't here, they refused for us to put a lot of color in it. So we did put color in this because we want to distinguish it. It wants to have its own front.
Yeah.
So the board even actually asked us to put something that will make it stand out. That's how the blue got on there.
And O'Connor is blue, so.
Yeah.
My last question is that, looks like the little water retainment bin there. Does that just catch water up from out of the sky? Usually they have a pipe or.
It's actually,
Building or
we have
something?
freezers and coolers, if you'll stop on the plan real quick and zoom out. So it's actually a food processing, you know, they bring in a product or a carcass and they break it down. So we have freezers and coolers, and the condensate from those freezers and coolers are going to be pumped into that storage, and then we're going to use that. So we're collecting condensate water is really what we want to do.
Great design. Good job.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just have one comment really. It's more of a longer comment. Having had 3 children who went through there, raised lots and lots of pigs and goats for a period of probably about 14 years from the first one to the last one. And my daughter is actually an ag teacher now herself in Marble Falls. I'm thrilled to see the improvements that are done. The addition of the additional stuff, the greenhouse, which was really kind of small for a long time and not really very representative of teaching them much about greenhouse stuff. The food processing, it falls right into there because right now what they're doing is raising the animals. There's not a whole lot of practical stuff to actually teach them about the business of agriculture. And so I think this was an exciting thing. My kids are all grown and out of the program. I wish they could have had some of this. And I'm rooting for Northside to catch up with what goes on at Madison. And I hope this gets us there because they have a phenomenal program over there. And I think this is wonderful. The design part, absolutely amazing. And to ask the question, yes, they're going to have a lot of walking back and forth, but they do already. And I think some of the classroom stuff that they're going to have to do is actually going to be closer. And the metal shop, I mean, I saw a lot of stuff that my middle child made in that shop. And so we'll miss that. So I would just ask her, have you decided names of the buildings yet in memory of some of the folks that have gone through the program? Because,
No, sir.
okay, we can talk later.
Oh, you got some
Suggestions.
suggestions.
Thank you, sir.
No, it looks great. It makes me almost want to go back to high school. Really nice.
I had one question to ask. Did you have something on this particular building? When I first looked at it, it looked like multiple buildings. Just the design of it. And just to be clear, this is one structure
One
with, I guess,
continuous-
different wings would be the way to describe it.
There's different roof lines that give it that look of
Yeah.
being different buildings, you know, the angle piece, it was the idea is to allow light to come into the corridor that runs the spine of that building. So that's why that roof's higher, but no, it's one structure.
And I just wanted to follow up on a point. I think it relates to site plan and building concept. And Commissioner Rios mentioned this earlier in terms of controlled access on a campus that's already so expansive. What is the general plan in terms of the site planning and the building design to provide at least a modicum of monitoring of this new area?
You know, the fencing is the big thing that we're probably going to do to control that. So there's gonna have to be some gates and new fencing that's put in there. I don't think the district has any other plans for any other kind of stuff. You know, the TEA standards just came out. We're still reviewing some of that stuff too. We're definitely going to implement the requirements there. And
If I can, O'Connor is a real challenge. We have 12 comprehensive high schools and I take care of each one of them. And O'Connor has always been the one that we always worried about in the sense of trying to make sure that we're secure all the way through. I walked in with a campus administrator right after our tragedy in our neighbors, not too far from here. And we determined that there's 2 levels of security that we have on that campus. When we have these facilities, this particular one will have a security lobby with ballistic glass. Because we believe that they're going to be, if you're going to sell product, right, and people are going to come in there, we need to make sure that our kids are protected. And so we purposely put a security lobby there. We're also thinking about putting it in the main campus as well. But the fact that we're trying to figure out ways to be able to be more secure in the way that we build our buildings. And Sean is absolutely correct. Strategic fencing is going to go up. It's something that we are committed to. And unfortunately, because we have pathways and you talked about the bus movement, those are entryways that we have to be really, really careful about. And obviously, at times that we bring kids in and we dismiss them, that's probably the biggest challenge that we have on campuses that are so spread out, so to speak. But rest assured that the superintendent and the board are very, very cognizant of the fact that we need to do as much as we possibly can. Obviously, we have security cameras, access control that you can only go in certain areas that were put in, maybe 15 years ago. And those will continue, especially in this building. And then we have monitoring for our administrators. Unfortunately, it's something they have to be outside with teachers and make sure the kids are okay coming in. And then those doors will be locked. Right now, O'Connor, every single door to the exterior is locked. And that's a security thing that we did not long ago and mandated that at all our campuses.
Thank you. And a question for staff. I appreciate the requirements that you all are required to follow as well, but does the fencing that we were talking about here, does that come back before this body? And even if it were, would it have any purview given the other state level requirements?
Normally it wouldn't, because of a lot of this precedence has fallen the state, as far as security and what's going to have to be designed and input. So, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you both. I think we're good. We're good. So at this point, I'd invite a motion on item number 7.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mark.
I'd like to make a motion.
Sure.
A request by Ramiro Mena, KNRG Architecture for approval of a conceptual design plan establishing the site idea of the Northside Independent School District Agricultural Science and Technology Academy at O'Connor High School located at 12221 Leslie Road, Helotes, Texas 78023. To include the following: the site plan, the general building concept, and the exterior lighting. Recommend motion to approve.
Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second.
So any discussion further of the motion, Mario or Jason?
I think it's a wonderful plan, and I'm glad Northside came in large representation tonight. Very appreciated.
Yeah, very nice presentation. Thank you.
Anyone else? I would echo that and commend you all for the really thorough and clear plans. It's very helpful to us. So the motion is to recommend approval of the request by Ramiro Mena of KNRG Architecture for the conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for the Northside Independent School District Agricultural Science and Technology Academy at O'Connor High School, 12221 Leslie Road, including site plan, general building concept, and exterior lighting. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. The motion is approved. It will go on April the 13th. Where I got that from, April 13th to City Council for final approval. Thank you all.
Thank you. And you're welcome to attend when we open the facility.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The Alex Blue wing of the Number 8 for us tonight is a discussion and action on the request by Carlos and Gabriel Garcia for approval of a conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for Twin Brothers Burgers, 13247 Bandera Road, including site plan, building concept, general building concept, exterior lighting and wall signage. Is there a representative of the applicant here tonight?
Yes, sir, I'm their architect.
Great. If we have questions,
Okay.
probably will. So anyway, Michael, anything beyond what we have?
No.
Okay, I open the floor to comments and questions. Why don't you go ahead and put your name and business
All right.
address on record?
Good evening, Commission. Frank Valadez, SA Partnership Architects, 3463 Magic Drive, San Antonio, Texas.
Great, thank you. I'd open the floor to comments or questions to staff or the applicant.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
It's a very, I call it iconic building where you're moving into where Bobby J's was. Is that correct?
I understand there's a lot of memories and traditions there. Yes, sir.
I think so. So that they also have that also well-known signage as well, that monument sign. Is that, I know that it's here in the plans, but what, are you utilizing any of that, or is that going to be knocked down and you're going to do a whole new look?
If you don't mind, Michael, to put the renderings up so that it kind of tells the better story in 3D. Next one. They're right here. So the Garcias had asked me to keep the budget in check. They wanted to minimize the impact on costs. And so the only thing we're doing to the project is mainly paint. Everything that you see there is shell. The only new structure is the actual tower element on the corner. And, I just want to make this comment about creative signs and because I read those things carefully. And in designing the sign here, you could see what, they're selling burgers. So, but it's also a sports bar. So they have a football bun on top with a soccer underneath to kind of represent, the product that's being sold inside. So I commend you commissioners to, I think, push for the creativity because I think everyone just benefits from that. And it really doesn't cost that much more in creating the sign. So I want you commissioners to give it your all to push back a little because we're expecting that. And but here to answer your question, sir, is we wanted to face the parking lot and also Bandera Road. So this is looking at it, looking kind of northwest. The view and so everything else, we're just taking the BJ's original structure and we're just painting it a gray so that we pop out their brand, the Twin Brothers Burgers.
Other comments or questions?
I just have a question. You said that it's going to be like a sports bar?
Well, because as you know, the Garcias played MLS soccer. They were a heck of athletes. I went to Marshall High School many moons ago. They went to Marshall High School with my little sister, and they got recruited by North Carolina, SEC schools, and then they end up getting their played for the MLS. And then when their sister passed away, they came back to help the mom and dad at the restaurant. So yeah, they're going to have TVs. Obviously, they're big in soccer. So you're going to see a lot of soccer in here, and there's going to be whatever tournaments, if it's basketball, like March Madness and stuff. So there's going to be a whole different vibe inside. And so we wanted to kind of give it a whole fresh look. It's going to be kid family friendly. The reason for the fence being separate like that, so that you can see in and no one can be hiding behind the fence, but it keeps the kids in the actual playground area. We're adding landscape. I purposely put 2 palm trees because they're twins. And that's pretty much it. This is going to be, they obviously love the city they grew up in and where they've done their business. So you're going to have the first prototype. Their intention is to put this adjacent to every El Chaparral. I'm designing the El Chaparral in Bernie. That's where I'm from. And we're going to do another one in next to their other Redland location. So this will be the first prototype that will get replicated throughout the city.
Oh, so you're going to try to put those next to El Chaparral's?
That's their goal. So
okay.
they're acquiring property to put both El Chaparral and their burger concept. And this will be their first. And then what we're also doing here, you may not be aware, you can kind of see the railing indicates that. The building doesn't meet, the existing building doesn't meet ADA or TOS. And so the tower helps us make that transition. That's why we have two entrances from the Bandera facade and from this view here, parking lot. The ramp comes up and then lands on the landing. So we have 3 accessible parking spaces. And then let's go, I guess, to the site plan so I can kind of show that. Right there. So you see the 3 parking spaces. And then there's where I have listed entry. That's the tower element there. So the ramp comes up, lands on that crosshatch landing. And then the other entrance comes up from the steps. You just move up, I'm sorry, in the other direction there. Those 2 sets of steps come from Bandera side. And then so the tower now makes a whole transition of making it accessible. And then we're adding more accessible restrooms on the interior. Let's go back to the elevation. Well, I guess go ahead and pan up so we can kind of see the fence line. There's the fence line there along the left. That's going to keep the kids in the playground out there in the back. And then we're adding that new 495 square foot porch, covered porch. I kind of called it a little dining car. It almost looked like a railroad car, train box car. But I told the brothers that this would be a good, just kind of, I do a lot of hospitality, bars, restaurants, anything in commercial architecture. And one thing that hurts a restaurant is when, if I'm traveling or I'm one person, if I sit at a 4-top, I blow up that 4-top and then those seats are wasted. So most people are conscientious, but if you don't give a single person an opportunity to sit at a bar like this, then they have no other choice but to sit at a 4-top. So we're purposely doing that.
Other comments or questions?
Quick question. What is the intention of the rear covered, the site plan, its existing roof? I know that's an existing outdoor dining area. That
what's up at the very top?
Yeah.
So I guess let's go to the first site plan, this one, correct. So that's part of phase 2. As Garcia said, we don't have the money in this phase 1 to do that. At some point, right now it's just going to be isolated. Their goal is to, I guess I could share. Their intention is to go ahead and put in 2 pickleball courts up at that elevation, phase 2. And then that covered area would be kind of a private, you could have a party up there, actually have bar service, things of that sort. So the goal is to continue to enhance this property because obviously they have a lot of real estate. And I've already done a preliminary layout where 2 pickleball courts would fit up to the right, which would be on the north end of that.
I'm sorry, can you elaborate on the lighting? Because there was very little in the proposal about exterior lighting, particularly for, say, the patio.
Well, we have it here. We have this light standards here. So there currently isn't any existing parking lot lighting and there isn't any landscape islands. So we added the landscape islands that you could see there. We're adding, let's pan out a little bit more, so just to see the whole parking lot. So we're adding 2 at the south end. And then we have, I'm calling it Plan South, just for simplicity. 2 on the south end, a four box in the center of the right there, and then 2 more on the north end. And then that will be, which is actually west. We're kind of looking west on this.
What about for the patio?
So the patio, there will be lighting there. So this is conceptual. So we haven't done the final CDs yet because we're waiting for approval. So as soon as, if this goes forward, then if we're allowed to add the patio, then we'll just add lighting. There'll be under can lights for the patio.
So for staff, does that have to come back here for the exterior lighting?
I understood the exterior lighting being for the parking and what's on the tower elements.
I think we often interpret it as anything that's outside. So if you're
Okay.
using exterior lighting to light a patio.
Well, then that's my mistake. I mean, what I could do, I could tell you right now, it's just we're going to have 3 lights per each bay of the column. which would be a standard, I always like to just put can lights. I don't like to put anything with a lens because it just collects bugs. So it's just a surface can, real simple, inexpensive.
So
And
one workaround may be if the commission wishes a conditional element to the motion.
that way,
If the recommendation is to approve to make it conditional on compliant exterior lighting, staff would be tasked with ensuring that that's.
and then that way they could stop it at the permit process if it's not in there.
I had one other question about signage, and this maybe is more for staff. There are 2 signs proposed
Yeah,
on
so
the tower. So hang on one second. So are they not only permitted one? If they're going for a second, do they need a variance?
it's based on square footage, correct? With 2 signs.
It's one facing Bandera and then the other one would be a pedestrian.
Being
The second one will be towards the pedestrian way, so you're allowed to,
what pedestrian way are we talking about?
the side that has the parking lot.
Parking lot. Okay, so
Parking.
all right. So similar to what we have done with,
HTO.
yeah, this over here. Okay, thank you. I was not doing that.
And when we first did this rendering, that's why there's a note on there.
Right.
The Twin Brothers sign is not going to be put on that one wall.
Yeah.
Okay,
The only signs that are being proposed are the,
right.
what I'm calling like a logo sign. for the tower. Okay. If there are no other comments or questions, thank you, and I'd invite a motion at this time.
And can I just make this is not related to my project, but I want to educate the commissioner to look at these things in the future.
So I'd actually ask you maybe afterward.
Okay, let's do that.
Talk to somebody about.
Thank you.
Motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion
Go ahead, Jeff.
to recommend approval on a request by Carlos and Gabriel Garcia for a conceptual design plan establishing a site idea for Twin Bros Burgers located at 13247 Bandera Road here in Helotes, including the site plan, general building concept, exterior lighting, and wall signage, with the addition of patio lighting being full downward lighting.
Full downward lighting, and would you also be amenable to saying and compliant with code?
Yeah, compliant.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Jeff or Mario, any discussion of the motion?
Good.
Great idea. Good concept.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? So the motion is to recommend approval of the request by Carlos and Gabriel Garcia of conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for Twin Brothers Burgers at 13247 Bandera Road, including site plan, general building concept, exterior lighting and wall signage, condition that the patio lighting be full downward lighting and compliant with code. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved and will
Thank you.
be April the 13th to City Council. And if you want to stick around afterwards to talk to somebody.
Okay, thank you.
Number 9 for us tonight is discussion and action on the preliminary and final plats pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 78 subdivisions, establishing the Parker and Parker Office Building Subdivision Block 1, Lot 1, a 4.17 acre tract of land out of a 21.112 acre tract situated in John M. Ross Survey numbers 223 and 224, abstract 645. Stop there for a moment and ask if staff has anything further to add on this. And do we have an applicant here for this one tonight? If there are any questions. Any further? Got it. So I'd open this to comments or questions for staff or the applicant.
Good evening.
Hi. So hang on, it may not need you.
Chair, I just have one question.
Please.
Or two, actually. One, is this property adjacent to where they have that law firm?
Come on up and name and business address, please.
Yes, Juan Rodriguez, Israel Engineering Services, 9010 FM 1976, Converse, Texas.
Got it. The question was,
Is this right next to where that law firm building is?
It's the 4.17 acres is the law firm building.
it is the building,
It is the property that the building is on.
Yes, sir.
right? There was, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, there was a variance that allowed the plating to follow the building.
Correct. They were approved the variance to get issued the building permits and built prior to being platted.
My only other question was, we'll see there's 10-foot building setbacks on the front and back. Should there not be any type of setbacks on the sides? Or is that not needed?
There are separated by, I think it's like 10 feet. I'll need to go back, but it is on the side.
The staff,
Yep.
it is.
They've got about 10 feet of setbacks on between the residential lot and themselves, and then there's nothing on the other side.
And to be clear, the remaining portion of this lot is zone B2, is it? Sorry. And that hasn't been platted.
It's all-
Yeah, that would remain unplatted.
It's
Yeah.
remaining unplatted.
It's all B2.
B2, okay, thank you. Unplatted and B2.
Just, is that the area that's in the 100-year flood?
Yes, sir. In the front area, it has access through Warnock
Arnock, yes.
Road.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just more of a comment than a question exactly. I recall when this property came to be developed, there was a great deal of citizen objection to the fact that it was going to be an office building on Scenic Loop. Quite a few people came, and the owner at that time absolutely promised that the remaining 17 acres would not be developed in order to appease a great deal of the citizens who objected to the development there. This flies, and I know this has nothing to do with your part of it, but this flies in direct contradiction to what we were told by the purchaser when they were designing and getting this going in the first place. Just a comment.
When was that?
4 years ago,
Okay, that's why I don't remember any of this.
4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
At least. Other comments or questions or about a motion? And this again is a recommendation item, I gather, because of the variance. Final plat,
Final plats.
final,
Yeah, preliminary, we could have, final goes to council.
and this is both.
Mr. Chair, I recommend approval for the preliminary and final plat pursuant to municipal code of ordinances, chapter 78 subdivisions establishing the Parker and Parker office building subdivision, block 1, lot 1, being a 4.17 acre tract of land out of a 21.112 acre tract situated in John M. Ross survey numbers 223 and 224, abstract 645, and recorded in document number 20180253179 of the official public records of Bear County, Texas.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion of the motion, David, Jason, anyone else? So the motion is to recommend approval of both preliminary and final plats, municipal code of ordinances, chapter 78, subdivisions establishing the Parker and Parker office building subdivision, block 1, lot 1, a 4.17 acre tract of land out of a 21.112 acre tract situated in the John M. Ross survey, numbers 223 and 224, abstract 645, and recorded in document number 2018-0253-179 of the official public records of Bear County. All in favor, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That was Mario. Was that?
Mario, yes.
Thank you. Motion is approved and will go on April the 13th to City Council for final approval.
Thank you.
That brings us to the conclusion of our agenda. Thank you everybody for their good work tonight. Ron, do you have the motion?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and we stand adjourned at 7:58. Please catch your lights.